You want to invest in real estate, but you can't. You can't qualify for a mortgage because interest rates are too high. Maybe you don't show enough income on your T4. Maybe you're self-employed and don't show enough income. Maybe you have a high net worth, not enough income. Maybe you're new to Canada. Or maybe you just have too many rental properties and the banks are saying no. Either way, there is an option. There is something called alternative investments. So what are alternative investments? For us real estate investors, it's anything besides a rental property. Stocks, bonds, mutual funds, private lending, REITs, joint venture situations. There are many. I'm going to talk about the ones that actually work right here in Canada. The first one is private lending. What is private lending? Private lending in Canada is when individuals or entities provide loans to borrowers outside of the traditional banking system, very typically secured by real estate and real estate equity. Okay, it is very lucrative. Here's an example. I'm a borrower. I need a loan. I can't qualify for a loan, an equity loan on my property with the bank because I have too many rental properties. So I go to a private lender and I have $300,000 worth of equity in my house with an appraisal. The private lender says, we'll give you $200,000 at 10%. I accept this. So within a year, I either need to renew that loan or pay it back with interest. So if I accepted a 10% interest rate, I'm going to pay back my $200,000 principal plus $20,000 in interest. And the lender is going to earn some fees in the beginning, but we'll save that for another time. But they're going to earn $20,000 in interest payments from their $200,000 loan. So this can be very lucrative, especially if you have multiple loans out there. And it doesn't take a lot of work once the loan is actually completed. I know there's some due diligence processes in the beginning that the lender must do, of course, but once the loan is out, it's very lucrative, it's very passive. It's as passive as you can get, in my opinion. So what are some advantages and disadvantages for borrowers and lenders? So for borrowers, the main advantage of using private lending is that you don't have to go through the traditional banks. So if TD, Scotia, CIBC is not giving you the approval you need, or you don't have the income or credit to get there anyway, you can go to a private lender, and typically, so long as you have equity in your property, in your personal home or another investment property, you're going to be able to get a loan. You're going to pay a little bit higher interest and maybe some fees in the beginning, but you can get the loan if you need it. That is the main benefit. For lenders, the benefit is that they get to charge a higher interest rate because there's perceived more risk. But it's still secured against their real estate, making it not such a risky investment from a bigger perspective. Okay, and as an investor, for example, myself, I have multiple rental properties, but I'm using some of that equity in the properties to loan out to earn interest back just with the equity I already have. So you get to diversify your portfolio outside of the rental properties, which is why we love it as an alternative investment. So what are some disadvantages for borrowers, disadvantages for lenders using private lending? So borrowers, you're going to pay a higher interest rate. You know, I've seen interest rates lately with a higher interest rate environment at 10, 12, even 14% for some loans. Okay, they're shorter term. The lender is not going to want to put up money for 5 or 10 years, given the situation, and you know you could pay higher fees to get the loan set up too. So for lenders, there's always a risk of default. So their main job is to do all the due diligence in the beginning to make sure that the borrower is secure and they have enough equity in the property to add that security, add that mortgage. Okay, and they have to understand the real estate market. They have to understand where the property is. A property in Toronto or Hamilton or Woodbridge or Markham is a secure property because they know they can sell it if things go bad, and they have to take back the property if you can't pay back the loan, right? But if the property is in, you know, somewhere in Ontario where they never heard of, or in some northern part of a province that isn't really saleable, that's a really high risk. So they need to understand that, and they need to know that the property is saleable or rentable, at least, if the loan goes bad. That's their biggest risk.